If you're hoping or already are a digital nomad, then you will want to stay for this entire video because today we're talking about and interviewing a digital nomad who has run a business for many, many years and had so much fun traveling while making money on a platform called Zazzle, which is a print-on-demand way to make money online. So welcome, Jen, to to our show today. Even though it's our show, but we're interviewing Jen today. She interviewed me, and check that one out. But I'm interviewing her this time,
Yes.
and it's kind of interesting because like I was the typical stay-at-home mom scenario. If you want to talk about where people can resonate with each other with us. And Jen was this awesome traveler, digital nomad, and I'm genuinely jealous that you were able to spend 10 years in Spain, and I want to hear all about that, and so does everyone else. But I also really want to know about, how did this feel? What was your desire, your dreams, your frustrations, and any tips that you have for people that are either thinking of this or already digital nomads, and they're just going like, I'm tired of YouTube, funds, or I'm tired of trying to get Google ads to pay for my next trip.
Yeah.
Instead, here's an opportunity that maybe you haven't thought of, and we'd love to dive in and hear your experience. Okay, so this is
Yeah.
Jen, my daughter,
Hello,
and
everyone.
yeah, and the two of us are we teach people how to make money on this platform called Zazzle, and we love print on demand, but we love this particular print on demand because it's so much easier than Etsy or Shopify. So the first thing I'm going to start with is like, why did you want to become a digital nomad? And I really wanted to. I even have a point written down, like, because you wanted this freedom, right, to work anywhere. And
Freedom
tell
to
us
work
why.
anywhere and
Tell us
on
why
my
you wanted the freedom.
well, the Coles Notes version or the real version. Well, starting back, because if you want to check out Elke's video after this video, after you watch this, because as she said, it gives her perspective of being a stay-at-home mom and utilizing Zazzle to stay at home and grow, like raise kids and see them grow up, which I was included in that. And during that time, because my mom was showing me that she could become an entrepreneur and stay at home and be a stay-at-home mom, it really influenced my way of after like going through my educational phase and also deciding what I wanted to do when I grew up, quote unquote. Because when I first started out on Zazzle, I was in university and I was really struggling in high school. Like I had good grades. I'm an intelligent person, very smart, got straight A's in high school. But then when it came to university, I was very nervous about what my next step would be in terms of a career. And I was in a program which was a general business program. And I was really interested in the marketing side of things and more the artistic side of business. But my first and second year of university was all math and all calculus and all economics. And I was just really struggling and having a really hard time focusing on my studies and staying true to my studies and following through with my degree. And my parents definitely saw that and encouraged me to take some time off and figure out what I wanted to do. And throughout this time period, this is when Elke and I were working on Zazzle and actually starting to see and make more money on Zazzle. Our first year, we only made $90. You can hear all about that in Elke's video. But it gave me an opportunity to then explore what I really truly loved doing. And I've always been an artistic person. Throughout university, I loved making jewelry and clothing and trying to actually create a fashion blog. This is when blogging first came into fashion. And so I was already dabbling in.
I'm going to interrupt you. I still remember the video you made about that with your I think it's still on YouTube somewhere, isn't it?
Probably. My fashion blog still exists. It's quite fun.
Yeah.
And so I was like, she made it a funny little plug in there about Google AdSense and people who are getting, tired of YouTube funds, because I was that person who actually got banned from Google AdSense. They had my IP address because at that time, nobody told you that you couldn't just click on the ad and then refresh and then you're like, oh cool, I made 1 cent. And so I would sit there for hours clicking on my own ads on my website because nobody was visiting my blog. It got a lot of traction, but nobody clicked on my ads. And so I got banned from AdSense. So that was my first failed attempt at becoming an online entrepreneur. And so throughout this whole process, as I mentioned, I've tried to do certain things on the online space. And this is when YouTube came out and it became more of an opportunity to share videos, and blogging and Instagram started to come out. So the world of social media was just sort of growing at that point in time. And allowing people to also understand that transactions could happen. People started purchasing online as well. It was a very big no-no to buy something online way back when, right? It would be skeptical to give out your credit card and things. And so I became really interested in mixing my love for fashion and creativity with the fact that I could make an online store with Zazzle and sell things and make money while I was, taking some time off of university. And it really gave me that sense of business as well, because I've always been interested in opening up my own not my own online business, opening up a business. That's why I started studying business in university, because I wanted to take my fashion sense and style and creativity and make that into something. I didn't know what it would be, but it definitely needed business background. And so Zazzle gave me the opportunity to mix those two together. And it was so rewarding to create things and to have fun playing on the Zazzle platform and then make some extra money. And this is me speaking to now like kids or teenagers and people who are in the university space now, because if you are at the same point in time now where you're trying to figure out what your career is and maybe you need some extra money, you don't want to work a McDonald's shift while you're still studying in school. My Zazzle business gave me the flexibility of having time off while a lot of my friends were juggling their studies and trying to make money bartending or at the local restaurant. And so they saw me as like this amazing, idol of inspiration, because I was at home, on the computer having fun and making money while they were out until 3 o'clock in the morning and then had to wake up next morning and go to class. And so that transition allowed me to figure out kind of where I was at with my university studies and give me a lot more confidence. I was also very much an introvert and scared, nervous all the time about making the right decision. And Zazzle just opened up this world of opportunities for me to just be comfortable in my own skin and become sort of a business owner. Bringing to the point of now
Yeah,
traveling.
let's rein this back into why did you become a nomad?
Well, the nomad thing was because I wanted to travel. So that was my
I
story
know.
of my integration onto how I became Zazzle. But travel was also very much one of my passions. And I ended up actually meeting somebody and was in a relationship with someone who was from Spain. And he invited me to go and live overseas with him. And I was like, Canada, cold, Spain, warm, beaches. Okay, I'm going.
Yeah,
And
and
so
I think that's when you actually took it even more seriously, right?
I
Because
think so.
before that, it was nice, and it was kind of like you said in the other interview, money to go out with your friends, but
Yeah.
now all of a sudden you had this huge, purpose, right?
I did, yes, and I remember printing out calendars and, like, Xing out the dates to make sure, like, when I was gonna leave the country and go on my next trip. Like, it was just a really cool experience, and as Elke said, she was jealous of me. I think a lot of people were jealous. I was going on a plane, to go over to Europe first before I actually ended up living there, but to visit at least 3 times a year. But it was me saving up my money from Zazzle and allowing me to then take these amazing trips. I've been to London, I've been to Germany, I was in Italy, I was in France and Spain. And so it allowed me to, first of all, get that sort of that itch, that scratch of traveling and make me feel like this could be something that I could live and do for the rest of my life. And Zazzle allowed me to do that. And then I ended up actually living over in Spain, and I had my own apartment and I had my own car and I had my own furniture and all of those things that you would normally have for daily, living things, because I worked on Zazzle. When I moved over to Spain, I wasn't able to get a job because I didn't speak the language, and I also was an immigrant, quote unquote. And so they were going through their economy crisis and unemployment crisis, and so they would rather hire people who were unemployed from Spain rather than from Canada as an immigrant. And Zazzle allowed me to live over there on different visas for 10 years, because I was working on my Zazzle business and making money each day, each month consistently, because Elka and we worked together, which now we have created the Profit by Design Academy coaching program. But she created the 5 strategies that we teach our clients. And I implemented those 5 strategies in my store. And I was able to literally go to the beach every single day, go for walks, go for nice dinners, and go and thankfully my ex-partner now, he worked on boats, and so we got to go on mega yachts and just live literally the luxurious lifestyle. It was definitely,
Too bad.
I know, it was something that, not everybody who works on Zazzle gets to experience that. There was a whole bunch of things that came to fruition there, but it gave me the opportunity to be open to those experiences and to just go and work, and bringing it back to my desires, freedom to work on my own terms, because I was very determined that I wanted to go suntanning and swimming in the ocean and the sea and go and like just live life and like soak it up, right? And being over in a different country allowed me to really get immersed in that travel experience, but then also living in a different country, because I'm originally from Canada and living in Spain is completely different. And I fell in love with the culture. I fell in love with just the environment. And so freedom to work on my own terms allowed me to say, okay, I'm going to work from this time to this time and during the nighttime, because during the day I want to spend time with family, friends, or exploring. And that's what I did. So it was
And
really
actually,
amazing.
I think a lot of people would, have that frustration that maybe they would have to spend too much time on the computer, in order to make it work. So even though you
Yeah.
might be in a location, but you actually can't enjoy it as much. So do you wanna talk about that, and that you like, what are your hours that you worked, and how were you able to do that?
Yeah. I'm just changing here this. Oh, hold on 1 second. Feeling like I'm tied to my screen is definitely something that I was worried about. And it's a lot of, it's people's frustrations even now coming into our Profit by Design Academy coaching program. A lot of clients are like, I don't want to spend hours and hours on the computer. I want, like, the reason why I created this business is because I want time freedom. And so that was a big frustration of mine, where I was nervous that that was not going to come to fruition, because on, a day where I wanted to go out and explore, I didn't want, I like, as a little stubborn, um, what's it called? Spoiled child, being like, I don't want to work today. I want to go play in the sun. And so feeling like I was tied to my screen was definitely something that I felt. But, having the plan put in place and having my strategic action steps laid out for me, and understanding, first of all, like my analytics of my store, and realizing that I needed to treat it as a business. But if I took that consolidated time and that structured time, I didn't need to be tied to my screen the whole time. Elke and I teach our clients that you can spend a certain amount of hours per month, like per month, even sometimes, once you get to a certain level of your Zazzle earnings on your store, where you don't have to be working 9 to 5 every single day. And that's definitely not what I was doing. And so that frustration of, feeling nervous that I needed to be on my computer definitely was at the beginning, because I was nervous that if I didn't work an hour, then I would lose out on making money for that hour. But that's the mentality of time spent versus money made, right? And so if you get into the mentality of where you put in a certain amount of hours, then that those certain amount of hours can actually make money for you many years even in the future. I still sell some of my products that I made in 2011 still to this day. And so that frustration was definitely prevalent at the beginning, but it dwindled later on, because I realized that I could get into this rhythm of being a digital nomad. Like, if I literally wanted to call myself that, as a traveler, as a digital nomad, then I needed to have time to go and do the things that I love to do, which was explore and travel, right? And understanding that. And so that brings me to my dream, which is working while traveling the world. I literally just needed my laptop and an access to an internet, and I would bring my laptop everywhere I went, right? I didn't just travel and have fun and not care about my Zazzle business, but there would be playtime and work time. And even when I went on vacation and on trips, my laptop was always in my bag, and I always went in and I checked either my Zazzle earnings, or I would make a certain product. And the best part about it too is that sometimes you would go to different places and get inspired. Elke and I would go to shops, local shops, and figure out, oh, that's a cool pattern that's on this mug. Let's do this. But going and traveling also allowed me to be open to the experience of like different cultures and what other people liked. I ended up actually making wedding invitations for some of my friends in Spain, and learning a whole new way of creating wedding invitations, because their culture is completely different and their religion is completely different. The structure of the wedding invitations are different. And so it allowed me to influence my work and influence also my style of the products that I made because of where I was traveling and what I was seeing in other cultures as well, which was kind of really neat. I really enjoyed that, and it was just literally the dream. Like, I'd be in an airport, and if my flight would leave in half an hour, I'd open up my computer instead of going on YouTube or Netflix or whatever. I don't even think Netflix really was a thing back then, but watching something mundane, I would go on my Zazzle computer or my Zazzle store and work on my computer and spend that half an hour on the computer. And that was like a good solid half an hour worth of work. And then I would feel comfortable going on the plane and then going on my trip without feeling like I didn't do anything or that I was being irresponsible. And just
For most of the time, how many hours per month were you putting into that? Yeah.
at the beginning, well, when we first started out at the beginning and then I got the structure going, it was definitely every single day, at least 3 to 5 hours or 5 to 8 hours.
That
Understanding
was
the time.
before you that was before we, really solidified what the 5 strategies are.
Yeah, and so, to be very fairly frankly honest, I probably was, like, 4 or 5 hours a week, like, an hour a day, and if I had
And
more time or if I wanted to do more, then definitely, but I had my structure set out, and I knew what was selling for me, and so I had my lists all organized of the different products that I would make at a certain time, so I knew what I needed to do within that hour, and it felt good for me, and I didn't feel like I was not spending time on my business. It was like I knew that I was spending intentional time on my business,
yeah,
which was, it's weird to say, but yeah, 4 hours a week, and that was it. And then bringing it back to one of the big events that happened in our lives is that my father actually ended up passing away while I was living over in Spain, and it allowed like that whole event just made me completely break down, and like I went into sort of isolation mode, and I didn't open my computer probably for 2 years, and I was still consistently making income while that didn't like while I didn't go on my Zazzle store because I just didn't have the right mindset to go on and work right then. And so because I had that whole structure, so 4 hours a week to 2 year sabbatical basically, and I was still making money online, which
yeah,
I can encourage a lot of people because when you first start out on Zazzle, you think, oh my goodness, I have to work every single day, 9 to 5. And you can see from examples from myself and Elke that if you just have the right structure and the right plan, then you can take time off, because that's the whole reason why we, at least for me and why Elke started this business, is that we're not supposed to be tied to our computers. We want to be doing the things that we love. And that turned into, from my own passion back then, was traveling the world and working and earning money and just living life and having fun and exploring. Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
because it's Zazzle's a model, right? Like, it's not like an Etsy shop or Shopify where even if you have your Etsy shops linked to Printify and Printify or Printful takes care of it, and, prints it and sends it to the customer, you're still dealing with customer service. You're still dealing with listings, and you're still dealing with reviews. And if you get, if you're not getting the right reviews, then all of a sudden, all your visibility on Etsy goes, which is, you just don't have to deal with any of that stuff on Zazzle, right? So that gives you the more flexibility to actually like enjoy your time traveling rather than having to constantly watch to see what's going on. It's like
Yeah.
it's very chunked in terms of your time, right? Where you can do it when you have a free time or
Yeah.
when it's a rainy day or something like that.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it on a certain at a certain time in order to succeed, right?
Yeah, and I think looking at the model too, the reason why Zazzle was such a perfect fit for me was because, as you just said, like I could spend an hour designing. Zazzle does shipping and handling and does everything else after the transaction of me putting, like after the buying transaction. So me posting my product for sale doesn't take away then, me having to go to the post office and ship all these these boxes or these bags and go to the local printer, because a lot of people, who do the Printify, or well, Printify is different, but Etsy shop or Shopify, like if you are creating or purchasing your own things, or even Amazon merch where you've got boxes in your basement and boxes in your study, that was not the model that would have worked for me. If I would have gotten into a business where I literally had to ship and handle my own goods, then I don't think that what I did would have ever happened. I wouldn't have been able to explore and spend those 10 years just enjoying life and literally being a digital nomad. And that time too, I think, was where people started to see that that was possible. It was where that sort of the transition of the Instagram accounts where people are all of a sudden like traveling the world and getting endorsements from hotels and doing all these things, you know. So Zazzle in its own right gave me the opportunity to literally be a digital nomad, explore the world, but not have to also worry about how am I going to make my next, you know, hotel visit and or my next trip and stuff. So it's really, really cool, you know. And then that brings me also, oh,
I think it's also full circle, right? Because I mean, I know you were trying to do those brand placements initially and get YouTube money, et
yeah,
cetera. Whereas here, you're not always jumping through hoops in
yeah,
order to get the money. And I think that ties in with the fear that we have listed that we wanted to talk about in terms of like, is it too restrictive? And I would guess to say from what you've said, it's actually the complete opposite in terms
oh
of
yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah, no, the restrictions, like, I mean, we could bring in, that was the age in the day. As I said, digital nomads became a thing because people were starting to do brand deals and hotel deals. So, but those people were also trying to fight for their next hotel stay or create enough content for someone to actually think that they're viable influencer to, you know, be welcome into their hotel or be welcome onto the flight for free, all of those things. And so my lifestyle was literally like that traveler slash, you know, travel influencer, but I didn't have, as you said, those hoops to go through. And the fear of Zazzle being too restrictive at the beginning, I mean, I did have that fear that maybe I couldn't make that much money because also Zazzle, we were kind of going through this transition where Elke and I had no idea what was possible. But then my mom, Elke, she made over $150,000 one year and consistently. And so for me, I didn't ever make that much money in one year, but it was an inspiration for me to say, wow, I can make more than your average person who now my friends are graduating university and their entry level job is $30,000. I made much more money than them consistently on a yearly basis just because I was working on the Zazzle platform. So Zazzle being too restrictive never really kind of crossed my mind. It was more so that I didn't know what the possibilities of the restrictions could be, right? There is no restriction. Working online and having literally almost the world at your fingertips because Zazzle is an international company that does marketing online pretty much almost for you. Like you don't even have to really do your own marketing. It allowed me to just be me as a designer and then do my own, you know, inner level of genius and do my designs and my products rather than having to be the jack of all trades doing shipping, handling, marketing, um, SEO, all of those things, right? And so Zazzle gave me that opportunity. And I think it really solidified the fact that I could make more money because I saw my mom do it and I saw that there were possibilities because no one had come out to us and said, you know, I'm $1 million Zazzle seller, so you can do it too. Elke and I had to do it on our own and had to figure that out by ourselves pretty much because that was just the day and age of that YouTube really didn't exist for coaching and training, right? It's kind of neat how we've come into this transition of where we first started out on Zazzle, where YouTube and all the social media and things didn't exist. And so now we have the opportunity in this platform where you're watching this video on YouTube to like listen to our journey and then also be at a time period where you have everything at your fingertips to help you, right? To get the resources to learn what we did and learn from our you know our mistakes and also our achievements. So it's really cool to like look back at like that timeline of when we started out and where we're at now and what was available to us. And so
I
the
know a
fact
lot of people are probably thinking like, "What are these guys talking about? Like, that's why is that a problem?"
that
It used
Instagram wasn't around, what?
Yeah, it used to be a huge problem. We were, like, really proud of where we came from and what we've done and accomplished, and but it also just lets us have this um like I want to bring this message to everyone who's watching is listen, that means it's so much easier for you. There's still a lot of competition because more people are becoming digital nomads, more people are realizing like in fact most people go like, well, what's John talking about? Everyone went for a trip after their university or took a gap year or whatever.
Yeah,
And but you still need to like most times that might just be bartending or whatever, whereas when Jen did this, it not just gave her the money at the time, but it set up her ability to have this business running for years, 10
yeah,
years, 20 years, like 17 years. And at that point, you realize, wow, she actually worked on her like career and her entrepreneurial business assets while she was having fun being a digital nomad. Whereas, as Jen said, all the other things are more very instantaneous, right? Like the influencers or like that
Well,
comes and goes.
yeah, and
Where
then the fact
this
that
is,
you just even
yeah,
bring it back to, like, people who go to, let's say, Thailand and they grab, like, a bartending job or a surfer job or something, and then it's a one-year period in their
right,
life, but then it's a cool experience because you went to Thailand, but then afterwards, what comes from it? So, yeah.
yeah. And that's a good way to wrap this up. And it's like, thank you so much for watching this really great interview. Jen has told us so much about what her experience has been being a digital nomad with using Zazzle as a way to earn income using print on demand. So thank you so much, Jen, for being here. And thanks for letting me interview you.
Thank
I
you.
know it was actually quite fun to do it this way rather than the two of us just talking at people.
I
Um,
know.
would you want to take it away for the rest of it in terms of like the subscribe and this and
Sure.
the
Yeah, well, thank you so much for watching this, and yeah, let in the comments, let us know if you like this sort of interview style. I think we're definitely going to do a lot more of things like this in the future. And in the description of this video, there is a free downloadable for you, and we are working on it. Depending on when you watch this video, there's a three-part day mini challenge for you, which you can join as well. It might be in the description when you watch this. If it comes live, check back and make sure that you get the free downloadable as well. And then subscribe to this video and comment. We love hearing your comments and hearing your feedback and how we can provide more information on how to help you learn how to create an online business with Zazzle. Thank you so much for watching this, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.